And once we're done setting up our configuration, essentially, once our front-end application is running, the back-end application is running, we have the proxy, and we use concurrently. Now we can start finally setting up the logic. So yes, I know we spent quite a long time on setting up the proxy and configuration, but it was very important for me to showcase all the steps in detail because I know that I'm going to be getting those questions at the end of the day in course Q&A anyway. So I might as well cover that during the videos because in the video, I can give you a visual representation. So there was a small detour, but now we're back on track. And the way it's going to work, we'll set up some logic on a backend, which we already have for register. So that's going to be the first thing we set up. And then we implement the logic on the front end. So set up the controller, then handle that on the front end. Set up the controller, handle that on the front end, and hopefully you know where I'm going with this. Now, when it comes to register, it's actually very similar to a login. And therefore, in order to show all the steps, I'll use login functionality from the complete project. So that way you can clearly see, because there's no point for me to register a new user again. They're going to be very, very similar. And the steps are following where we want to provide the values. Then we'll invoke the request, in this case to a login. Then once the data comes back, we'll set up the user token location in the component. And we'll also do that in local storage. So these are the steps. And just to showcase how everything is going to look in the complete project, I'm going to go here with my dummy one, and then I will provide the values. And once we click on submit, we'll make a login request. And then if we're successful, we will direct the user towards the dashboard. So we'll programmatically navigate them to the dashboard page. And then when it comes to components, you'll notice that I will have my user token and location. So let me make this one bigger. And then once I scroll down, notice I'm going to have the info about the user that we're sending back, whether that is an email, the last name, and you know the rest. And also we have user location, and then we have the token. So all of these three values. And also we set them up in our local storage because when I refresh the page, I actually want to persist them, since when it comes to state, they're not going to be persisted. Now, we do have the logic there in the app context, where every time we refresh the page, we will reset them. We'll basically grab them from the local storage. But if, for example, I go here and I clean it out, notice the moment I will refresh, they won't be there by default. Again, that's one of the things with state in React. It's not persisted between the page refreshes. And once we know what we're going to be working on, essentially the register controller, now let's start following the steps.